My name's Grace. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my journey through EMT school, what I would recommend to you guys, and some tips and tricks that I learned along the way, and why you should go into EMT school. So let's get started. Hey guys, so my EMT school journey starts the beginning of this year when I had just graduated from college. I had gotten my associate's degree, so I was looking for a program that would help get me introduced into the healthcare field while giving me maybe a part-time job, but also time to work towards my future degree. So I had heard from a couple of people in my community that EMT school was a short program, only about 5 or 6 months long. And to me, it seemed very practical. I could learn a bunch of life-saving skills, get some practical emergency medicine knowledge while working towards my degree. It would also give me a part-time job, and it would allow me to work towards my dream of being a life flight medic down the road. So I went and looked up EMT programs near me, and it turned out that our local community college had a program starting that fall. So I got in contact with the program director, and I applied to EMT school. So there are certain requirements that you need for EMT school, which I will show in this little presentation. But for my EMT school, we had to be CPR first aid certified. So I got my certification through the local fire department. I had to have a drug screening and a physical exam and have a clear background check. You also had to have at least a high school diploma, be able to lift and carry 125 pounds, have good judgment under stress, and you are free from the abuse of alcohol or any other drugs, The program that I went through was a 5-month program, and throughout this 5-month program, we had 5 module exams. That we had a practical exam and a final exam at the end of the semester. We also had 24 hours of ER clinical time and 72 hours of ride-along time at our fire station. And you have to schedule your own clinical hours. We did it through this app called Platinum Planner. So while working a job and having to schedule clinicals, it's a lot to keep up with. But at the end of the time, you learn so much. So we had to also cover 41 chapters in this 5-month time span. So we were going over approximately 8 chapters a week. And then we had to complete all of the homework and tests that went along with those chapters. And then at the end, once we had gone over those chapters, we would take a module exam that was over about maybe 10 or 12 chapters, depending on the week. So we met for class 2 days a week. It was from 9 to 5. Some days would be lecture days, and some days would be skill or scenario days. So we would constantly be learning new skills and constantly applying our knowledge and what we had learned through scenarios and through real-life situations, or as real as it gets in EMT school. So it is a lot to learn in a short period of time and learn how to be proficient in what you learned, which was the hardest part for me because I could learn the knowledge easily. It was actually putting it into practice and using critical thinking to know how the body works and how certain conditions cause this in the body and how it reacts. That's the hardest part for me, was pathophysiology. Surprisingly, not really a ton of EMT students struggle at first with pathophysiology, especially if you are new into the healthcare field and you haven't really been introduced to pathophysiology besides maybe like one college biology class like me, which I didn't pay much attention to, if I was being honest, because I just wouldn't get done with my degree. So it's a lot to learn in a short period of time, and once you got proficient in what you learned, or you felt comfortable in what you had learned, at least, you were moving on. And that subject or that skill that you went over would probably not come back up until finals week. So if you got behind in EMT school, you would have a hard time making up that work and being able to apply that knowledge. And it's already hard enough to keep on top of all the homework and all the tests and all of the great stuff you have to learn, that if you get behind, you're just going to make it harder for yourself, if that makes sense. So fortunately, we had some of the best instructors who were always willing to answer our questions and go over things that we didn't understand. So we had a lot of hands-on learning, which helped me a lot because I learned a lot through actually doing it myself. And our instructors would also give us study guides for each exam, including our final written exam, which was very helpful for me. So I was able to collect those study guides over all of our module exams and then just go over them like every week to just keep that knowledge fresh in my brain. And then when we went through scenarios, I could apply it. So I was actively learning through hands-on scenarios as well as all the other study guides I had learned. This course was so fast-paced, I had to schedule my clinicals while working a job, like I was saying earlier. So it was it was kind of stressful at times, so I had to schedule when and what homework was due and on what day to work on certain subjects so that I wouldn't fall behind and I'd be ready for all my exams. But to help me out on this, I used a few different apps. I used the app Study Smarter, which helped me a lot because I could put in all my learning subjects. I put in all the subjects that I was learning that week, and I could just pull out the app and work on some while I was at work or in line or just had some spare time, which was very helpful for me. So I also use the Limmer Pass app and the Limmer Review app right now as I'm studying for my NREMT, and I've heard that those questions are harder than the actual NREMT, and I've learned a lot. It provides rationale, so you are able to see what you got wrong and then work on that subject. So the written exam for me wasn't that difficult. I was comfortable with the information because I prepared beforehand with all the study guides, flashcards, everything like that. So I felt pretty comfortable going on to my written exam. But my practical exam, I was very stressed out about because I had no idea what to expect. And even though I was sufficient on my skills, I didn't know what to expect, so I didn't know if they were going to throw something crazy at me and I was going to mess up. But it is comforting because, like my instructors told me, they are never going to quiz you on something that you have not been tested on and that you have not put into practice before. So you should know how to do it at this point. And if you're not comfortable with a skill that you might have, then I would recommend that you go and practice that skill after class or with your friends. Have your friends or other classmates quiz you, because if you do not feel comfortable and you're like, oh, that's probably not going to come up in my practical, it's going to probably come up in your practical, and you're going to be standing there and be like, I don't know how to do this because you didn't practice. So I would recommend that if you are not comfortable with any skill, go and practice it. So now that I've passed all my finals and I've finished EMT school, I'm going to be graduating and I'm going to be preparing for my NREMT test, which I'm kind of scared about. So I'm just using Limmer Pass and Limmer Review to keep preparing for that test, and then I will go into the workforce after I get my NREMT, apply for a job as an EMT while working through medical school, which I'm very excited about. If you guys have any questions or any concerns or comments or even your own experience with EMT school, let me know down below and I will try and answer them. And I hope this video has helped some of you guys, and I look forward to making more in the future, and talk to y'all later.